Hey guys and gals, if there's any gals out there watching, I think there's a few. I've had a few emails from the girls. Okay guys, haven't been out for a while again. I had hoped to be able to get some videos done during the week, but it's a crazy time here in Australia right now. We've got lockdowns and all types of things, but maybe in the next couple of hours this whole area will be locked down, where you won't be able to leave your house other than to go and get food. You won't be able to drive anywhere, you won't be able to go to work. It's just extraordinary. Never ever thought this would happen in Australia. We're dumbfounded, and we're out in the country here. Been no COVID infections out here ever, not one. Not since the epidemic started. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, JH. Okay guys, now the basic themes of the last videos have been, like, we had the Mike Austin wrecking ball pivot, which is what I want to get to eventually. I'm nowhere near that. And the reason I'm nowhere near that, guys, is because I can't get in my golf swing enough release in that lead side. You have to release all this mass here. It's got to be released so I can get into the trail side. But I've always been such a centered player over the years, and always had a short compact swing, and I've never wanted to shift my weight. I just wanted to turn around the base of my spine. And that's probably why I've never been a very long hitter. I've always had adequate length, and the difference is that I might have been playing in, on long par fours, I might have been playing in a 5-iron, where somebody else might have been playing in a 6-iron, or the very long hitters a 7-iron. But it didn't really affect my scoring. Well, I can't say that. Had I been 20 yards closer, maybe it would have affected my scoring. But guys, what I'm trying to get in my own swing, and what I'm trying to get across to people, is that we've got to liberate this lead side mass. What's the lead side mass? If we drew a line up the middle here, and heaven forbid, but if we cut ourselves down the middle, all this mass here is an independent part of the body. And we've got to try and get as much of that over here. We don't want to do that, because that's a sway. When you move your head, that's a sway. But as Mike Austin did, he didn't move his head, he just moved his mass. He moved his mass underneath his head. He went like that. Here. Heaven forbid that I'm doing anything that suggests what I'm doing is what Mike Austin did. It's just the explanation of what I think the dynamics of his swing were in terms of moving mass around and getting the mass into the trail side and the backswing, and then getting that stored mass across to the golf ball and past the golf ball at impact and post-impact. Because we saw that with Mike Austin and Mike Dunaway. So the plan for me in the next couple of months is to liberate that mass on the lead side. What I want to look like in my golf swing is basically this, guys. That's what I want to look like. I want to feel like my weight's outside my trail leg. And if it is out there, it doesn't matter. Because that really is a liberation and a real loading of that trail side. If I can get my weight out there, that's fantastic, as long as I don't take my head with it. If I can get that type of pivot here, that'd be great. What I'm working on. And I haven't been able to get out and do enough sessions and hit enough golf balls because the weather hasn't been good. Sunday today, and it's a beautiful day. Just not a cloud in the sky, no wind. I mean, it's just so unusual. The weather's great, but the living circumstances are not. And of course, guys, I'm a gym junkie, so it's going to be tough because they'll probably close all the gyms. They're closing everything. Closing manufacturing, construction, everything. You can't go to work. It's not happened here yet, but in Sydney it has. But we're like, 500 miles from Sydney, in the country. Okay, Jade, stop that. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to talk about today, in conjunction with that, is what you can do in the pivot to get that mass moving. Now guys, don't know how many of you are familiar with the action of a discus thrower. You watch a discus thrower, he gets the discus here, and he'll get it and he'll go. He'll go here, here, here. And as he goes in the backswing, he's coiling down. He's coiling down so he can coil up in the throw. I was going to bring a discus out today, but I forgot it. So the point of this is that if you can have a pivot that in that transfer of mass in the backswing, just feel that we've got a discus here, and we're going to get that mass moving, and we're going to coil down. So we're going to push into the ground. Remember pressure down the last couple of videos? Well, we're going to pressure everything down. We're going to pressure the whole mass down into the ground. We're going to pressure it down like that. Push down, 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 down. And then which means we've spiraled into the ground. And in the downswing and forward swing, we're going to spiral out of that spiral into the ground. If we spiral in here, I've got a lot of pressure down here. I'm gonna get rid of that compression in the body, and I'm going to spiral up with my legs. I'm going to spiral up, and I'm going to fire everything. I'm going to fire the lead side. I want to get the lead side working like that. The trail side, like the disc is here. He gets into here and then he spirals up. So how does he do that? Well, as he comes up, he has to release that. That's down there, that's coiled, so he's got to release that, and he's got to pull with that and drive that up. And that's got to be done very early, and that's basically the thing that starts the uncoiling action in the discus thrower. So, okay, it's pretty hard to incorporate that in a golf swing, but the basic principle of it is not hard to incorporate in the golf swing. Not at all. So what I'll do in the first video here is just go through the explanation, then I'll come back and set the camera up again, slightly differently, and we'll hit some shots with that. But I want to get across in this first video the things I want to talk about today. So item one is that we want to transfer that mass. Now you can do it a lot of different ways, guys. You can actually feel this, and I used to play with a guy who was an outstanding player. Used to take my money all the time. Outstanding player. We don't have to be that outstanding and take my money. But I could play okay in those days. And here, guy, I'm not joking, he used to look like this. He used to look like his weight was, he would get here and he'd just have the little waggle, and he'd go like this, and he'd go, and he'd just throw all that lead side mass over here. Just throw it over there. Just basically like this. And he could thunder the ball. He was like 30 yards longer than me, sometimes 40 yards. He was just, and now I'm talking about the old clubs. He was a genuine 280 carry, sometimes 290, sometimes 300 carry yards with the old clubs, the old drivers. He was Nicholas type length. And he had this beautiful pivot. It was extraordinary. And to get the feel, he told me one day, he said, JH, to get the feel, just stand there like that and do that. Just let all that, just wow, like you want to swing everything over there. But don't move your head. What have you got to do that? Now, I never lift my lead heel. I never had to. I like a tight coiled swing, but he did. He lifted his heel up quite a lot. So that's something I want to talk about today as well. Again, is ways of being able to liberate that lead side with the mass transference. Now, the other thing, guys, and this will sound a little nutty and heretic compared to conventional teaching wisdom and teaching principles and processes. But what if I told you you don't need any wrist cock in the backswing deliberately, consciously? You don't need. You need some wrist cock in the golf swing, but you only need it in the downswing. You don't need it in the backswing. And over the years, a lot of the trouble, because I taught a lot of handicap players, a lot of them just couldn't time the wrist cock off the ball in the backswing. It'd be okay, it'd be this much this time and then that much next shot, and it was just difficult for them to time that much action and motion in their backswing. They could never cock the wrist the same amount. But I'll bet anybody in the world can do this, the same amount. If you took the club back and you didn't cock your wrists at all, okay, it's just a little bit there. But if I thought effectively that I didn't want to cock my wrist, what would my swing look like? To be there. Now, what's the good thing about that? Hey, I don't need a lot of timing in that. And the difference when you cock your wrist early off the golf ball, it changes the arc. If you cock it too early and get too much pickup in the backswing, then the arc changes. It'll either be shorter or more V-shaped, and you won't have a consistency in your arc. But if I did this, guys, if I pushed it back here like that, pressure down, pressure down, pressure down, and that was the feeling I wanted. Two things that really are beneficial. And the first one is we'll have a consistent setting of the arc in the backswing. It will do the same from there to about here, which is all you want. And by doing that and keep coiling, okay, the hands will come up and there will be, because the right arm shortens, if you could keep your right arm out like that, you could completely eliminate breaking your wrists on the backswing or cocking your wrists. But because the right arm shortens, as we push back here, it's starting to shorten. As it shortens, it pulls the trail hand and wrist back into that cock position. But if you can have that as late as you can in the backswing and not early, which is the message. Now, the player that does it unbelievably is Bryson DeChambeau. You look at DeChambeau, I mean, the width of his arc on the backswing is monumental. It's monumental. It's just extraordinary. Okay, he's a very strong guy, and it requires a bit of strength to do that. But you don't have to be a super athlete to do it. I'm no super athlete, even though I work out and I'm quite strong for my age. But if you just thought that you want to do this, pressure down with the hands, inside, pressure, 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 and then it'll cock. But guys, I promise you, if you get there, if you can actually get there in the backswing, you can't help but do that in the downswing. You cannot swing the club from there down without creating some down cock, some wrist cock. And you only need that cock, that wrist cock, on the downswing. You don't really need it on the backswing. You really don't need it. And you watch DeChambeau when he's hitting, sometimes when he's hitting even a 150-yard shot with a wedge or something like that, he looks like he's stiff arming it. He looks like that. Plays all his bunker shots like that, all his chip shots. guys, the good thing about it is that it's very consistent. Now I'm going to hit some shots with the driver and 4-iron or whatever, 3-iron, and you'll see it. And I'll hit some pitch shots as well. But the good thing about it, guys, is that it's very consistent. Very consistent to do. Even if I was going to, I mean, this is a 5-iron, but if I was going to hit a little pitch shot, you know, this here, it's hard to do that the right amount, and the timing. Okay, you don't want a lot of shift in a pitch shot, but you do need transference. Because if you're just a player that stands still, picks your hands up and chops at the ball, you'll never time it, ever, consistently. You just can't do that. But we know we don't want a big pivot for a little shot. But if I was just going to hit a little pitch shot here, and you watch DeChambeau, he basically just does that. That's what he does. Now hear the contact there? That's what he does. But he does it in his full swing. He does it on a greater scale, and he's got a massive shoulder turn, and he gets the club back. You know, I mean, he gets his club so high in the backswing. The toe of his golf club is so high in the backswing. And guys, why am I saying to do this? Because it's going to give you a bigger arc in the backswing. It'll give you more time. Now, a big arc doesn't benefit you in the downswing. A big arc in the backswing, because we narrow the arc with the downcock. If we had a backswing that was big arc, it would benefit us. But every player in the world, even the guys that extend a lot, can get here and then they downcock it. So they go from wide arc to narrow arc. That's been in golf since the inception of golf. No one's ever had the backswing arc on the downswing. It's always shorter. It's always narrower. But if you can make the backswing wider, it just gives you more time